Take four. This is the pre-construction process for the Cedar Crossing Casino in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, presented by myself, Caleb VanderWeide, Luke Hoffman, and Justin Tapio. Our first step is demolition. You start with the assessment identification of the land, figuring out what needs to be removed, what needs to stay. Then you have your demolition approach. How are you going to do it? What equipment are you going to use? Next, your site logistics and safety planning. Safety is important. And finally, you finalize your equipment selection and demolition, and then figure out where your waste is going to be traveled to, where your stockpile zones are going to be, and how you're going to get them from point A to point B. In the images here, we have some homes that needed to be removed due to asbestos. Next, we have removals. We're going to start by verifying our existing conditions and figuring out what actually needs to be removed. Next, your scope definition and removal limits, figuring out where your actual zone is. Next, your execution plan and equipment selection. Again, equipment's important. Next, your site control and safety. Make sure everyone's staying safe on the job site, and then your material handling, where are things going to be moved also. In the top left picture, we have an old storm sewer, probably built sometime before I was born. In the middle here, we have our topsoil that's being removed, and on the right are some internet lines that had to be rerouted. Then you have your grading. You're going to start with your topo and earthwork analysis. You're going to go through the surveyor's data and figuring out where you need cut, where you need fill. They're going to go into grading scope and logistics and site control. Just kind of figure out what's going on in your site, where things need to go. Then you have your grading execution and your equipment selection. Third time, equipment's important. And then finally, you have your quality control and verification, just making sure all your points are where they need to be. Do your final rollover tests, make sure everything's plumb and where it should be. For the pictures here in the top right, we have all these rocks. This is where our building pad is going to be, so that one's a little special.
Moving on to utility installation, we start with the review of city codes and regulations before anything. Then we can move on to survey the site, see if there's anything that needs to be demolished or removed before we put in our utilities. Then we move on to excavation and trenching for our utilities and things like water lines and electricity. And then after that, you test and inspect those things, and then you can restore your final grading by putting back the soil that was once removed. Moving on to geopiers, these are put every 5 feet, and they are drilled 20 feet down, and they basically compact the soil beneath where our foundation is going to be. Basically, there's going to be rock dropped into the hole, and it will be shooken or compacted up all the way to the top. And then after that, you can begin your foundation process. Moving on to your foundations, after those geopiers are put in, you can dig down your trenches and place in your rebar and shoring. And then after that is when you can pour your concrete, which is showed in the bottom left picture. And then once the concrete's poured, you can do tests on it to make sure it's strong enough.
So precast panels, we're going to start at the top left photo and move right from that and down to fill out these bullet points pretty much. So precast here, you're going to find where you're going to set your crane, then you're going to organize your panels oriented the direction you want to go around your building that you want to set them. Next, you're going to set your panel down and you're going to weld it basically to the foundation. There's some little attachment points in the foundation, and then there's also some attachment points that are going to come from the ground and up to your actual precast panel, seen in the bottom right photo. Then you're going to weld all the panels together, make sure they're all plumb, and get everything inspected. So some common issues with this job site. There's a lot of flooding on this job site due to all the rain this summer, as you can see in the top right and the bottom right. Thankfully, the building pad was not flooded, but around the job site definitely was. At the beginning, you saw asbestos in the demolition housing. That was bad because it took a long time to get those permits to get those houses removed. That's why everything was graded around those houses. And then next, coordinating with the subs is always difficult on every job site, especially this one with a time constraint of 1.5 years. So for safety here at the Cedar Crossing Casino, we went above and beyond and comply with all of the OSHA practices. As you can see in the bottom left photo there, we got a ladder down in the trench, we got a trench box, and we got a guy down there. But most importantly, we have guys around him watching him, and he's not all by himself down there. Top right, we have a picture of basically entering the job site and what you must wear, as seen in the bottom right there. Hard hat, the safety visor, a vest, jeans, and boots. So team coordination here. Team member Caleb, he did slides 1 through 4. Justin, 5 through 7. Luke, 8 through 10. And Luke provided all the images, and they're from Cedar Crossing Casino, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, by Ryan Company.